Hey there, you're listening to Combo Breaker, a 1-2 punch of enthusiasm. Each week, I present a tiny interruption to share something that I'm digging on. I'm your host, Cole. Now let's jump in. This week I wanted to talk about a video game character near and dear to my heart. Well, perhaps that's a slight exaggeration, but it is a character from a beloved franchise that every time I see him, I'm like, dang, it's my boy! What's funny is as I started really thinking about when and where I've seen this character, I realized the prolific life he has had. I mean, I subconsciously knew because I've seen him all over the place, but it wasn't until I started really listing things out that I realized, holy crap, hold up. Super Mario World, Super Mario 64, Super Mario Kart 64, Sunshine, Galaxy, and more than a few parties. I counted 50 plus releases that Monty Mole has been in. Granted, the episode title probably already gave that away. But what a build-up. Let's jump into a tiny history lesson to see where we've been and maybe where we're headed with our mole friend. Monty Mole first appeared in Super Mario World, where he would pop out of the ground and out of walls to surprise Mario. His appearance is only foreshadowed by a few frames of rock erupting from the ground or wall that would be a telltale sign he was a-comin'. Once he would land on the ground, he would then travel left or right on the screen, adding a random hop as another layer of unpredictability. Also, he's a quick one. I think this enemies addition was a direct attempt to slow the player down. There is a short tell of the approach of Monty Mole, and he's never alone. So all of a sudden you got a few Monty Moles popping out, starting to run back and forth, and you have quite the cluster on your hands. Also, while Monty Mole was first introduced in Super Mario World, Monty does make an appearance in a later re-release of Super Mario Bros. 3. I believe Super Mario Advance 4 for the Game Boy Advance? I'll have to check on that, but back to Super Mario World. With the addition of Monty Mole, we got another mole. And we should not confuse Mega Mole and Monty Mole, who both appear in Super Mario World. Mega Mole is a large mole wearing sunglasses who's just chill as hell. Mario can most certainly still be hurt by our large mole friend, but can be used as a platforming device to explore the levels instead of just, dodging exploding moles out of the ground. The addition of the small and large mole is really cool. If you think about it, both additions change how players proceed through the levels. One mole adds some unpredictability, so timing is of the utmost importance. You potentially need to jump, and what if he emerges when you're in the air? You're vulnerable. So it slows the player down to take a moment instead of running right past them. There's a brief pause that breaks up the gameplay. It just changes up that rhythm. Our Mega Mole, perhaps Monty Mole's hungover uncle, which could explain the sunglasses underground, is not only just an enemy, but also a mechanism for the character to explore. If done properly, Mario can jump onto Mega Mole and safely travel across treacherous terrain. The only bummer is, Mega Mole is driving, but once again, this hungover mole changes up the way the player progresses, slowing down, moving at the speed of the enemy, but also, it is another way to access points of the level the player couldn't access in a traditional fashion. At least, well, spin jumping I guess is a thing, but, tell that to 5-year-old me. But Monty Mole, along with Mario himself, Goombas, and Koopas, they all had to make that transition into 3D with Super Mario 64. And for all the characters, evolution was a necessity. They evolved from moving on a 2D plane to 3D. Mario got new jumping mechanics, Goombas still waddled, but in 3D! Koopas challenged you to races, and thus Monty Mole had to evolve as well. Monty Mole does not have a huge presence in Super Mario 64, but he does appear in 2 levels. Hazy Maze Cave, particularly in the Toxic Maze portion within the level, surprise, surprise, I know, and Tall Mountain. For Monty Mole's 3D development, Monty functions similarly to a Rocky Wrenches. Our sweet, is he a groundhog? He's a goggle-wearing dude, for sure, who carelessly throws wrenches at you while you navigate airship levels within Super Mario Bros. 3. But to make Monty Mole stay true to the nature of his disruptive inception, Monty couldn't just chase Mario in a 3D space. The player could easily avoid him. So, how does Monty adapt to still interrupt the player's progression? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Like Rocky Wrenches, he jumps out of the ground and throws rocks. Rude, I know. But this adaptation is so dang smart. It keeps Monty Mole in the role that he's always been, to disrupt, jar, and slow down the player. But instead of being a dingus emerging from the ground to chase him and randomly jump, he jumps, throws some rocks in the way, and it still interrupts the player's progress in a 3D space. Nice going, Nintendo. Though it's only a little silly that where Monty Mole lives in a level, the holes that he emerges from are visible. So, to be fair, it is still unpredictable because you don't know which one he'll emerge from. but it's a telltale sign from a mile away that he's a-coming. I will also add that low poly count Monty Mole from Super Mario 64 is not my favorite, but it could be a lot worse. Okay, here's the thing. I love Monty Mole, that's why we're here, right? But Super Mario Sunshine. Super Mario Sunshine. This may be my least favorite. No, scratch it. It's definitely my least favorite Monty Mole. So in Super Mario Sunshine, there are two Monty Moles. At least that's what they want you to think. I may disagree. There are two moles in Pina Park and Noki Bay. They are domed, stationary red tanks that shoot tracking bullet bills at range, and when Mario gets close, it lobs bombs, which is pretty cool because you can disable the bombs with the FLUDD and then chuck them right back at Monty Mole. Like many Mario bosses, hit our mole friend 3 times and he's done so. I have no problem with Monty Mole manning a tank. He actually is in a moving green tank in New Super Mario Bros. On the DS as a mini-boss. But here he has no creepy arms. But it's the creepy, lanky arms and his weird, elongated snout he has in Super Mario Sunshine that I find so upsetting. I just don't like it. I don't buy it. But I do love that he has a little green hat and gloves. You gotta protect your noggin from that sun, and I assume launching rockets and bombs can be pretty tough work. It's those arms. Look up some footage of Monty Mole from Super Mario Sunshine, but beware, every time you close your eyes, you'll see his creepy arms at night. But in New Super Mario Bros. On the Nintendo DS, where our Monty Mole friend has his green moving tank, he goes back to resembling his original shape, with his white muzzle and tiny eyes. In New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii, this is the first iteration of Monty Mole's original look, but with his 3D facelift, with more polygons. Monty returns to his original jump scare attack method and running around being a nuisance to the player. Perhaps this is a way of dealing with the return of a 2D playing field, even though Mario and friends have evolved a bit and have a few more tricks and skills up their sleeves. But hold up! Insert a record scratch here. In New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, there's also a minigame called Whack-A-Monty, where Monty Mole and Luigi emerge from holes and you have to tap the screen to get rid of the Monties. But in Super Mario Party on the Nintendo Switch, they take this a tad step further with the game's awareness. If you play as Monty Mole, like I do because duh, look at him, you play a minigame, Rhythm and Brews, rhythm-based whack-a-mole. Instead of running around the screen, they emerge in front of the stationary player to the beat. But Monty Mole, he's super not okay with this. All of the characters are super chill. But Monty, he's visibly sweating and his eyes occasionally bug out. Even with the whackable even with the whackable Monty's obviously looking artificial with a plastic sheen, my boy Monty is super not okay with this. And that may be another reason why I find him so endearing. He shows remorse for his actions. Granted, it's remorse towards his own kind, I guess, but he emotes more than just sadness when he loses or happiness when he wins. Granted, I don't want to take away from a Goomba carrying things and doing things without visible arms, but that's not why we're here. But that is still also very good. I realize we went on a nice old jump from the DS to the Switch by bypassing the Wii and Wii U there for a bit, but that whack-a-mole thing is something, isn't it? The last thing I'd like to highlight, which I realize there's so much more we could probably spiral onto, is on the Wii in Super Mario Galaxy, you have Monties that throw wrenches and a giant Monty who looks like he has a blue shell as a helmet. This giant Monty in the English version is called Major Burrows, which is a very good name. But in Japanese, his name is Mogu Kingu, which translates to Monty King. Major Burrows also appears in Super Mario Galaxy 2, and when I was researching this podcast, I found a cool little tidbit that Koichi Hayashida, the director of Super Mario Galaxy 2, provides his voice for Major Burrows. He has many accolades from his work on a multitude of Mario games, but I'd like to highlight he served as a producer for Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, and for that, I am grateful for. Here's hoping for not only Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2, but with a boss battle appearance from Major Burrows. But with Monty Mole being a playable character in Super Mario Party on the Switch, here's to more fun times with our favorite mole friend. I know we didn't touch on any of his appearances in sports games, but maybe that's for another time. And I can't wait to see where we see Monty next. Oh my god, could you imagine playing Breath of the Wild instead of Link, or Waluigi, if you're into that hack, you get to play as Monty Mole to save all of Hyrule. This, or that is the future I want to live in. But right now, here's to many more appearances of our dear Monty Mole. Thank you for listening to Combo Breaker for a 1-2 punch of enthusiasm. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast, and if you did, I hope you share it with a friend. And if you want to share something you're digging on, shoot an email over to weareokretro@gmail.com with Combo Breaker in the subject line. And follow me on the social medias at weareokretro to see new stuff coming out and what I'm up to. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Until next time.